warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening. مساء الخير. I have the honor to give the speech of His Excellency Dr. Mostafa Madbouly, the Prime Minister of the Arab Republic of Egypt. Unfortunately, for unexpected situation, he wasn't able to join tonight, so I have the honor to give his speech on behalf of him. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to address you tonight. I would also like to thank the British Egyptian Business Association, BEBA, for organizing this important event. Let me first start by stating that the United Kingdom is a key strategic partner to Egypt. We praise the excellent relationship with BEBA and the essential role of its members and business communities in further strengthening our trade and investment ties. Ladies and gentlemen, under the slogan "Together for Implementation," we had the great honor to host, on behalf of Africa, the 27th session of the Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh. In this regard, we appreciate the participation of His Excellency Mr. Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, at the COP27 on his first international visit since assuming office, building on the successful British presidency of COP26 in Glasgow. COP27 convened 120 world leaders, besides government, representative, business, civil society, and observers, in order to tackle the pressing issues of climate action and accelerate global effort in this regard. And I know that 66,000 attended the COP27, which is the largest number who attended the COP. I would like to highlight one of the main outcomes of the COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh, which is the agreement on the establishment of a historic loss and damage fund for assisting developing countries that are particularly vulnerable to the effects of climate change. Ladies and gentlemen, in Egypt, we are particularly aware of the threats posed by climate change due to the felt impacts on different areas of our economic activities, especially in the field of agriculture and water. As an emerging economy with a growing population, Egypt is in need of stable sources of energy, and hence, we have already moved rapidly towards an increased reliance on renewable energy sources within our energy mix. We have a clear target to increase the share of renewable energy to 42% by 2035. Currently, renewables represent 20% of our energy production, with a strong outlook to become a regional energy hub by producing and exporting clean energy, either directly or through green hydrogen, ammonia, and others. Within the activities of COP27, Egypt signed a number of documents to implement several projects in the field of green hydrogen and clean energy, and will immediately start implementing these vital projects alongside the execution of the project provided under the Next of Water, Food, Energy program in order to confront climate change in close partnership with development partners and the private sector. There is no doubt that cooperation among all stakeholders has become an irreplaceable option, especially during this challenging time globally. Ladies and gentlemen, having said that, I would like to highlight the qualitative development taking place in the Egyptian economy in terms of modernizing services, infrastructure, digital transformation, and the green economy, which paves the way for exploring non-traditional aspects of cooperation and calls for immediate action to foster economic cooperation and mutual investment between our two countries. We strongly believe that mobilizing private capital is necessary to achieve sustainable and inclusive growth and to help us maintaining macroeconomic stability. Over the past few years, the Egyptian government has taken steady and accelerated steps to improve the business atmosphere and stimulate private-led growth through a committed proactive reform agenda based on making bold decisions for economic reform, all of which were highlighted through the first edition of Egypt Economic Conference that was held last October in the new administrative capital. The conference included interactive sessions that aimed mainly at launching a dialogue between the government, various experts, and business community, with the aim of drawing a roadmap for the Egyptian economy in order to reduce the negative repercussions of the Russian-Ukrainian crisis, with a main focus on enabling the private sector and improving the competitiveness of the Egyptian economy. During the conference, a number of key messages were highlighted, including developing private sector involvement in the economy, strengthening local industry, increasing exports, setting clear policies and measures to boost the competitiveness and resilience of the Egyptian economy. Based on the views of experts and specialists during these sessions, recommendations were reached and an action plan with key performance indicators and a clear time frame will be established for their implementation, identifying the proposed actions to be taken and determining the entities responsible for their implementation. Accordingly, we assure you of our keenness to continue our steps to improve investment climate through economic, financial, and legislative reform, as well as adopting incentive and remove any obstacles facing investors. Ladies and gentlemen, on the bilateral economic and trade level, Egypt and the UK have signed an Egyptian-British Association Agreement after the Brexit, which came into force in the beginning of 2021 to establish a new framework for bilateral trade relations. Moreover, we also recently established the subcommittee on trade and investment that will discuss the opportunities of further cooperation between our two countries. UK is the leading foreign investor as per FDI stock in the Egyptian market, with around 1,640 operating companies, including British investment covering several sectors like services, energy, manufacturing, and finance. I am pleased to know that the latest trade figures between Egypt and UK shows that during the first year since the Egyptian-British Association Agreement came into force, we have witnessed an increase of 29% in trade volume between our two countries compared to 2020. In addition, the first 8 months of 2022 have witnessed an increase of 77.6% in Egypt exports to the UK compared to the same period in 2021. The British export to Egypt also have witnessed an increase of 34.6% during 2021, demonstrating the space for real opportunities to develop the volume of our trade exchanges, as well as the importance of the rapid growth on our economic relations. Distinguished guests, there is a real opportunity for universal green economic growth. Egypt is looking into exploring new horizons for green projects by pushing and encouraging more innovative ideas to ensure the sustainability of our resources. And we strongly believe that the British companies can play an important role towards achieving this objective. We look forward to exchanging expertise and developing technological cooperation in priority fields. I am encouraging you to explore the current investment opportunities in the fields of clean and renewable energy, manufacturing, and health. Ladies and gentlemen, we face unprecedented economic challenges, just like many other countries in the world. However, we insist in taking up the challenge and exerting the necessary efforts to overcome any obstacles to growth. You will receive full support from my cabinet members, and I am confident that you will engage in fruitful discussion that will lead to more British investment and partnership benefiting from promising opportunities in Egypt. Finally, I would like to emphasize that we will spare no effort to assist and support business and investors from United Kingdom with the aim to maximize our common interest and achieving our development goals. I thank you very much and good night. Thank you.
We will bother you a bit more with some questions from the floor, which we had asked our colleagues and dear members to send in. So if you don't mind, Your Excellency, I'll go ahead with the questions. What is the first question? What is the future vision to support and attract investments in Egypt in line with Egypt's Vision 2030? And will tax laws be part of this vision?
Thank you very much. I believe that more FDIs to the Egyptian economy is vital. And also I believe that with all the elements which can play significant role to achieve this objective will be critical. Let us say that the tax policy, whether income tax policy, whether other tax policies can play this role, and although we may say that the tax rates in Egypt are attractive, but others may say, but on the ground, we have challenges. So we will need to address these challenges to ensure that tax policies will be more friendly. One of the issues which I personally believe is that automation must be one of the top priority to ensure that disputes between the taxpayers and administration of the tax system should be reduced to the minimum level. So without automation, we will continue on the dispute, and sometimes people argue that the assessment of the amount of tax due to be paid is, excessively high than what should be, and all of that. We have progressed on that, and I believe that we should see from next month and January the gradual rolling out of the full automation of tax procedures, because we have finished. We have finished the automation of the tax procedures. This will allow the taxpayers not to go to the tax office. They can finish all their procedures on the internet. We may see some challenges at the beginning, but it is started. I believe that some taxpayers have received their electronic tax report in the last few days, which means that we started. This is one. The second one was a tax receipt, tax invoice, electronic tax receipt, electronic tax invoice. All of these together gradually will mean that we are improving the environment. Not only that, we are currently working on drafting a new law for tax income. We are working, our people finished what they see as a draft. We started to communicate with IMF and the OECD and others. And after that, once we reach the full draft, we will start a discussion with the public, with all the stakeholders to listen to them. This will be in 2023. I hope before end of June 2023, the draft will be ready to give it to all the stakeholders and to start discussion on it before we go to the parliament. If we look at other issues relating to investment, climate and atmosphere, we have some incentive in our investment law. And these investment incentives were supposed to finish next year. It was 5 years, and we're supposed to finish next year. We decided to extend it for a period, I think another 5 years. I'm not sure, 5 or 6 years, which allow people to deduct from their tax base up to 50% of their capital expenditure for new projects. This is one. The second one, we also sent to the parliament the new incentives, which we call it investment incentives, which link it to your tax due. Up to 55% you can claim it, and you get it in maximum of 45 days after you submit your tax report. Otherwise, the Ministry of Finance have to pay you fine. If we are delayed, after you submit your tax report, you will have the right to claim investment incentive up to 55% of your amount of tax due. I'm sure many will say bureaucracy and improving and accelerating the process of government procedures and all of that are vital and very important. In addition to that, improve the climate for private sector to attract more local private sector before the foreign investors, which I personally believe, strongly believe, that we need to send the message to the foreign investment through our Egyptian investors.
If you may allow me to applaud you for that.
So I hope that the situation will improve. in the coming days and week, but you have to take into consideration that it was very difficult year. 2022 is very difficult year, very challenging, and of course, with all what happened throughout this year of the war, inflation, interest rate, very high interest rate, and all of that, very high cost of oil and wheat and other products, it made the situation is difficult, which I believe, and I know for sure, of course, that many investors, whether are local or foreign investors in Egypt, are impacted by such a situation, and we hope 2023 can be better than 2022 in improving the investment environment. I am talking about the mind of every one of you when every one of you now is saying, oh, but I have a challenge. I have problem with the customs. I have problem with the tax. I have problem with hard currencies. I have problems, which I know. I have problems with many authorities in the country. Our role is try to ease this problem and try to help until we finish with these challenges, which many of them out of control because they are coming from abroad. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I just hope the new tax law will not mean higher rates.
I can assure you, if I cannot reduce the rate, I will not increase it.
Thank you.
For 100%. It is the opposite. I want to make sure that if we say that the rate is 22.5, your effective tax rate will be 22. If the rate is 22.5, your effective tax rate will be 22.5. Because some people saying, okay, you are saying that the tax rate is 22.5. But if we add the additions, if we add blah, 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 the effective rate is higher than that. We will make sure with the new income law that with all the procedures, all the automation, everything, and we will look at even all the other duties and other additions, and we'll review it to make sure that the effective tax rate will be with that target 22.5.
Thank you, Your Excellency. This is very good news, and this will definitely promote investment. If you allow me to proceed with the second question. With the emerging challenges that are posed on the local and global context from the global inflation and implications of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the government is often forced to take bold policies to counter these challenges. And we can see that happening in government's recent policies to employ a durable, flexible exchange rate regime, raise the interest rates by 2% to control rising inflation, repeal the letters of credit system, etc. What are some of the insights that you can kindly provide us on the government's strategy to deal with such challenges that have not only impacted consumers but also raised the cost of doing business for companies operating in Egypt?
We are living in a high inflation environment, which in addition to others are impacting not only our business but our life as well. So we have to work on many dimensions. One of the dimensions, for example, is the ordinary citizen. The ordinary citizen are impacted heavily with this high level of inflation. And we have to do with that. We have introduced 3 packages of social assistance. One in April, one in September, and one this month. And we are willing to give more support, social support to our people, because we recognize that the inflation and the prices are high, and is negatively impacting the living standard and the ability of our people to purchase their needs. So we will move in this direction. For the business, let me say, even before going to the business, let me say, I'm still looking for the parliament to approve the increase of the 25% in the personal tax allowance. This will be also very important because I need to help. I need to help the people. So I introduced the 300 Egyptian pound for every citizen, civil servant, pensioners, and we increased 1 million takaful and karama enrollment. And we are trying with many increased 100 to 300 Egyptian pound on the food subsidy for 10.5 million families. So also increasing the personal tax allowance by 25% will help also in this dimension. So hopefully this month or next month we'll see the approval by the parliament for this, which will be very important. But on the business side, I looked at the export subsidies as one of the elements I can help the business community and push liquidity to the business community. Last month we paid 4.5 billion to I think 1,600 companies. In few, let me say in 10 days, I will pay another 5.5 billion. It's just to give liquidity to help. I know that this is to help companies in this difficult time. In addition to that, let me call for you to come up with some ideas which you think that we can discuss it and to see how we help you in this environment. This environment was similar to what the high inflation environment was similar to what we went through from November 2016, I think until end of 2017 or so. So I'm willing to come and sit down and discuss any ideas which you think that it can help to ease the pressure we are facing these days. And of course, we'll be with you because you are the business community and you are the employers of our people, and you are the producer of our product, and you are the exporters of our most needed, the hard currency. So let us work on that. At the government, I have to say, for me, what I help it with, I'm still paying 6 billion Egyptian pound to support reducing the cost of electricity. I decided that this year we will not increase any electricity. I pay to the Ministry of Electricity 3 billion Egyptian pound in addition to the 6 billion. I'm still willing to see any other ideas to help the business community with this environment. But I'm sure that there will be a lot of ideas to deal with that, similar to what we did over the November 2016 up to December 2017, which eased the issue of devaluation and high inflation.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. So this is an open invitation for our members to whoever has ideas and suggestions, please to share them with the executive team of BEBA, and we will organize maybe another roundtable discussion with His Excellency to discuss such ideas. The next question, Your Excellency, is about the exports, because you mentioned the exports. Of course, Egyptian exports have surged quite tremendously over last year. They surged 50% year on year in 2021, reaching close to 45 billion, and non-oil exports hitting an unprecedented $32.3 billion in 2021. And of course, Egyptian exports can be a key driver to economic growth and recovery, and this is what we're all hoping for. So to capitalize on Egypt's latest liberalized exchange rate regime, what are the future planned policies and incentives that aim to increase exports further in order to reach our $100 billion annual target?
We had the board of the fund of export subsidies 2 weeks ago, and there was a call to increase. For example, we were allocated 350 million Egyptian pound for air transportation for vegetables and fruits exported abroad. And they were saying, oh, we need to increase that. We decided to increase to 500. When we found that there is a need for more liquidity because the budget was 6 billion, we said, okay, let us allocate 10 billion and pay this 10 billion in 2 months. So last month, we've paid 4.5 billion, and in 10 days, we will pay another 5.5 billion. So we are trying to help with that. And we will continue to allocate money to support exports. And if there are, because, you know, there are some ideas with regard to procedures, with regard to easing the process, and some ideas with regard to increasing money or increasing liquidity or increasing cash for support. I know, for example, some complain about the process is taking longer period and we need to shorter the period. So some people saying, oh, what is the idea that you pay me after 2 years or 1 year? We need it in 6 months. We need it very quickly or less. So we are trying with the fund to automate the procedures in order to reduce the time with a maximum of 6 months or even 3 months time, so it can be more effective. So this is one. The second one, we have to review the the idea. Some of the ideas, for example, might be more effective than others. So we have to look at what are the most effective ideas so it can be, the amount you are allocating is very efficient for pushing the exports. Because you may say this regime or this system will not help you to achieve what you are looking for, the $100 billion. So if there are ideas to change this system or this regime to a more efficient and a more effective one, we are willing to look at it because, this design might be good for some, might not be good for others. So if you have an ideas which can be more attractive for increasing the export, we will discuss it. And I personally think that when we tried before, a lot of meetings the Prime Minister held to discuss the design, and we designed one. After 1 year, you came say, no, this was not the right one. We need to go back to the old regime. So we went back to the old regime. When we started to accelerate for a discount of 15% because I have to borrow more money, they said, oh, no, this is 15% is high. We need to reduce it. So I said, okay, let us make it 8 because I have to borrow more money in order to push for more liquidity. So we are open to more ideas about how to modernize the current system of export subsidy to be more friendly for you and more efficient and to achieve our objective $100 billion export.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We have a couple of other questions, but I've seen that Your Excellency already answered them through your elaborate answers. So I guess this brings us to the end. We thank you very much for for the speech and for answering the questions. And I think we can go ahead with the. Are we ready with an announcement? Okay, so if you don't mind, Your Excellency, we'll give Mr. Ali Isa to announce the results of the elections.
Good evening, everyone. We had the election started earlier this evening, and these are the results for the elections. The first one is Mr. Magid Azzeddin. $79 votes out of all 81 right votes and 1 negative. Then all are 82, Mr. Magid 79. Second, Mr. Khalid Nusayr, $78. Third, Mrs. Bakinam Kafafi, 76. Number 4, Mr. Mohamed Kamal Abdallah, 74. 5, Mr. Muhannad Taha Khalid, 72. 6, Mrs. Sarah Hinton, 70. 7, Mr. Magid Al-Minshawi, 67. 8, Mrs. Inji Rasikh, 65. 9, Mr. Hussein Rifai, 65. They are equal, but we choose with the serial, we put it on the serial number. Number 10, Mr. Nighat Sha'rawi, 60. Number 11, Mr. Khalid Zaki, 58. Number 12, Mr. Hazim Gohar, 56. Number 13, Mr. Abdelkarim Hilal, 52. These are the 13 board members already. After them, number 14, Mr. Ihab Mahawid. Number 15, Mrs. Malak Khalil. Number 16, Mr. Karim Rifat. Number 17, Mr. Muhammad Al-Dabbabi. Number 18, Mr. Ahmed Azzeddin Abal. Number 19, Mr. Ahmed Taha Mekki. Number 20, Mr. Sharif Rashid. Congratulations for the board, the new board member, and best of luck for the rest next time, Bismillah.